Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent. Listener discretion is advised. Let's talk about one of North America's most enduring legends. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is a purported ape-like creature said to inhabit the forests of North America. Many other cultures all around the world have their own version of this creature, but the existence of one has yet to be proven true or false. On this episode of the podcast, I speak with Bigfoot expert Mike Familant. He hosts a show on YouTube called In the Shadow of Big Red Eye, and he is about to embark on a multi-state tour sharing his knowledge of the phenomenon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Caught on the Mic. So if you're no stranger to Caught on the Mic, you know that I am not afraid to talk about things that are strange or may appear strange. You also know that I am a traveler. I spend a lot of time in Colorado. So of course, because I spend so much time in Colorado, I own things and my house is covered in Sasquatch/Bigfoot iconography. I am obsessed. I have an 8-foot sheet metal Sasquatch in my backyard, hiding behind a pine tree so it can watch me while I sit in my fancy inflatable hot tub. So it brings me great pleasure and excitement to introduce Mike Familant. He is a Bigfoot expert. He hosts a show on YouTube called In the Shadows of Big Red Eye. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Mike. This is awesome.
This is awesome. I've been wanting to do this type of episode forever. What is it about Bigfoot experts and Sasquatch experts that make them as hard to find as Bigfoot?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know about that. That's I'm glad that we found each other though, and we made it happen on such short notice, like we were talking about before. So that's even better.
Yeah, I think I reached out to you like 3 days ago, and I was like, "Hey, you wanna do a podcast this week?"
Yeah, and this is right before I go on my tour, so it's like perfect.
Sweet. And I do want to talk about your tour because I think that's really exciting. So without any further ado, I feel like I've talked enough. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of your origin story and your background?
Sure. Well, I am 33. I am an EMT firefighter by trade. I don't do that anymore. I do full-time Bigfoot research. And how I got into that was in 2011. I was at a state park in Florida on this Bigfoot research trip. And long story short is we got rocks thrown at us. And it was like a fist-sized rock. And I was like, okay, this could be like a person. And then 4 more of these fist-sized rocks came. And I was like, man, this is like how horror movies start. I don't like this. And then my friend threw a rock back in that direction, and a laptop-sized boulder came crashing down through the trees and landed like I don't know, 10 feet from us. So, and it was totally outside of human range. No person could have threw it, like, unless Nolan Ryan's like hanging out in the middle of the woods. Right. There. Nobody's, So that got me into the Bigfoot thing. And then a couple of months later, me and my same friend are out, and we go to this place. That was in North Florida. And now we go to this place in Central Florida, and we see these reflecting eyes, blue and red, and we had no idea what they were. We thought they were people at first, like hunters in the woods, because this is a big hunting spot. We thought they were like illegally hunting. We didn't realize people don't have eye shine. We were like brand new to the Bigfoot thing. So we're like, hello, we're just Bigfoot hunters, yelling in the middle of the woods. And then the one, it was dead silence. Nothing responded back. then the one eye, the red set, turned and looked at the blue set, then turned and looked back at us and blinked. We were out of there. And then that was our second encounter. And then things have happened since then that it just absolutely blow your mind. It's crazy.
Oh, we need to talk about those things that'll blow our mind. Come on, man. So has most of your research and most of the tours that you've done, have they been on the East Coast predominantly?
Yeah, all of them. I haven't gotten out to the West Coast yet, unfortunately. And that's just because as a Bigfoot researcher, you can understand that I don't make a lot of money.
Right. Yet we have to use that operative word.
Okay.
Yet.
All right. That's fair.
Because I do know that the Pacific Northwest tends to be the hot spot, followed by like the Appalachian Mountains would be like number 2. And then the Rockies would probably be 3 if you were to organize it as far as where the most activity takes place.
Yeah. No, I would definitely like to get out there, but people have the East Coast very underrated for Bigfoot too. Florida has one of the highest number of sightings. New Jersey actually has number 5 sighting in the country, and that's where I hail from. I'm a northern New Jersey person. You can imagine, in between the armpit of Pennsylvania and New York. That's where I reside. But we have a lot of Bigfoot up here too, and people don't realize when they think of New Jersey, they think of people and pollution and stuff, which is all very accurate. But we do have a lot of woods as well. And we have a lot of Bigfoot here too, which is awesome.
Yeah. When I think of New Jersey being a music nerd, I think of Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, and My Chemical Romance. So
Yep. That's what you got when you come to New Jersey. That's we don't have much more than that, actually.
This started for you in 2011. You did this in Florida. Let's talk about some of the other places where you've done research trips to.
Sure. Yeah. I've been all the way from Maine to Florida. So you name it, anywhere in between. One of my favorite places to go Bigfoot researching is Whitehall, New York, in Washington County, New York. It's right on the border, the outskirts of the Adirondack Mountains. And that's right on the border of Vermont as well. It's a really cool place. It's had a very long history of sightings for about 40 to 50 years now. And the Bigfoot are still there. I was actually surrounded in Whitehall one time where we had multiple Bigfoot. I think there were like 3 or 4 Bigfoot within 20 yards of us, which is crazy. And they were not happy that we were there. We went in there with just an audio recorder. No cameras or anything like that, because some people say that Bigfoot can see the infrared light that our cameras produce. So I was like, well, let's try something different. And we went in there with just the audio recorder and a big spotlight, 2 million lumen spotlight, and there were like branches breaking. You could hear footsteps falling down. There were rocks being thrown and hitting trees behind us. It went on for like 6 minutes, all on my YouTube channel. You can hear it all. But it was the scariest 6 minutes of my life. That's for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you just mentioned your YouTube channel. Let's talk about your show. You're on season 6 of your show. Let's explain the whole premise and kind of what goes into an episode.
Sure. Yeah. So what we do is we pick a location, and I'll tell you how we pick locations in a minute. It's kind of an interesting process of how you actually pick a location to go Bigfooting. But we find a location and we go camp there for 3 or 4 nights, and we try to find witnesses in that area. So during the day, what we'll do is we'll day hike and look for footprints, hair samples, scat, anything physical evidence like that. Talk to witnesses and stuff, and do some awesome sightseeing and stuff. And then at night, what we'll do is we'll go on a night hike and try to get video evidence or audio evidence of a Bigfoot. And that's all thrown together in about a 30 to 45 minute show. And what's cool about the show is I do all the editing and stuff in-house. Like, I do it all myself. So it's not, I think you can respect that as a podcaster. Yes. All the stuff is true and very real. Yeah. Which a lot of the stuff, that's the one of the reasons why I made the show is because I was so tired of seeing these TV shows that were not accurate and portraying Bigfoot research to be totally not the way it actually is. So I had I had a background in video editing. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's do a show. Let's make a show.
Yeah.
And, people like it. So it's cool.
I noticed that the Bigfoot community or the Bigfoot research community isn't quite as large, or it's a little bit more segmented than, like, say, the paranormal community. But those shows that are made for, cable television or Hulu or something sometimes tend to be staged and drummed up for the sake of drama's sake. And how do you feel about that, and how do you feel that challenges your integrity as a Bigfoot researcher yourself?
Yeah, well, the cool thing about it is I don't necessarily, those shows, they need the ratings and stuff to remain on TV and to make money. See, I don't make money from the show. So it doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't like the show or if somebody doesn't want to watch. That's fine. I just hit 2,000 the subscribers, so I'm pretty sure people like the show. And it's not about just looking for Bigfoot either. And that's one of the things that I wanted to touch on, and my show also touches on too, is we go out and we see some of these beautiful places and stuff like that, but it's more about getting friends and families outside, kind of off the couch and into nature more so, and removed from their phone and stuff, and seeing something that you wouldn't normally see sitting on a couch. That's what I want people to get out of this show.
Drawing a parallel to you, which is something I like to do in all of my episodes, I think about podcasting in the same light. It's not necessarily about the guest or the guest's story as much as it is what the listener can derive for their own personal use. Like, I have a lot of MMA fighters on my show, like I was telling you before we started recording, and I will commonly hear from people within my circle or slightly outside of my circle, I'm not going to listen to that episode. I'm not really into MMA. And I'm like, no, do yourself a favor. Listen to the episode, because it's not about MMA. What we talk about fighting is maybe 20% of the episode. It's the 80%. It's a person's story. It's the journey. And it sounds like your YouTube show is a very similar approach, while you're still taking your content fairly seriously.
Yeah. Before I release anything on YouTube, we go through a whole process of making sure that everything is legitimized and real. If we do come across, like, say, a vocalization or something, I will take that vocalization before anybody else hears it and send it off to my linguist, who is a linguist from the military who does Bigfoot analysis. And I've got, audio that has come back from him saying because of X, Y, and Z, it's outside of human vocal range and it's no known human animal, which is really cool. And other things like, for example, I took a picture down the Pine Barrens of New Jersey, known for the Jersey Devil. I took a picture of what I think could be like a Bigfoot head. It's really far away. It's foggy. It's misty, and it's a blob squatch. So, and nobody is ever going to see that photo because it's so ambiguous. It's just, it could be absolutely anything. So, do we have the same cup?
I think we might. We have the same name and the same drinking cup. But yeah. So, as a Bigfoot researcher, have you made friends within the community, other people that are doing similar things like podcasts and shows and documentaries?
Yeah, that's pretty much my only circle of friends now. Well, you have to understand, Bigfooting in itself is a little unusual. And then to take that and make a whole life's work out of it, if you will, is not a lot of not a lot of people can say that they've done that. So it's not the people ask me what I do. Like I'm on these dating things, like the apps and stuff, and people ask me what I do. What am I supposed to say? You know what I mean? Like, I
don't know, man. I don't know. There will be some pretty excited people on those apps, if you just straight up say it, you know?
Yeah, there's also some pretty horrified people. Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. So, given the wide range of investigations that have been done on Bigfoot itself, the number of people that have experienced sightings, the number of people that are investigating it, why has there not been a confirmed scientific acknowledgement of Bigfoot or Sasquatch as a living being? And why has there not been any like skeletal remains or a corpse discovered yet? What's your opinion on that?
That's a very, very good question. It's actually a two-part question. I love it. So the first part of your question is, with so many people studying it, how come there's no like DNA evidence or whatever? The unfortunate thing about evidence in the scientific community is they're very scientific for some reason, and they need a body. And unfortunately, to prove a species, you need to have two bodies. You need to have a male and a female that show that they could reproduce. And that's something that we as Bigfoot investigators are kind of split on when it comes to what our values and what our opinions are on how we approach Bigfoot research. I'm of the camp where we don't like to hunt or hurt or anything to this Bigfoot species, where there's some that are very into trying to kill and prove the existence of Bigfoot, which is cool. Not my cup of tea. So that's the first part of your question. Unfortunately, you need a body. Where are the remains is another very great question. I get that question all the time, and it's cool because you put some science into the study of Bigfoot, which is what I love to do. Right. So you have sightings, locations of Bigfoot sightings that are kind of grouped in whatever, and you look at that location. You look at the soil acidity, right? And the soil acidity in Bigfoot sighting areas, because of the type of rocks, geometric formation underneath the ground and stuff like that, is very high for some reason. So, and that's it's same way with black bears. Black bears live in very high acidic soil area. It's I don't know why. It's just something that they do. And when you die, you decompose rather quickly. I think also Bigfoot would be just like any other animal, where if they know they're going to pass, they're going to go into the deepest, kind of darkest crevasse cave area that nobody has access to and die peacefully there. So, those two things coupled together by like bones and stuff, people are always like, well, the bones decay too. And there's scavengers where Bigfoot live, where like your porcupine, they eat bones, and ravens and stuff, they get the bone. Skunks eat bone marrow. So it's you got to be in the right place at the right time to find a Bigfoot body. That's for sure.
It really makes you wonder, being a sentient being themselves, you don't know where their consciousness is. You don't know if they have their own language, if they interact with each other in a very similar fashion that human beings might, or are they going to be more of a primitive type animal? Are they really even animals, or are they their own thing? So are they taking care of their own disposal of bodies and disposals of remains? And I mean, that's something I'm sure anybody that's pondered the whole Bigfoot phenomenon is thought about in one regard or another.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Bigfoot are intelligent. They have to be intelligent to remain hidden. Because if we as humans have a hard time finding something, we're pretty intelligent. So if Bigfoot are out there, and I say that with a capital IF, because I don't know if Bigfoot are out there. I've never seen a Bigfoot, so I don't know for sure. I'm sitting at like 70% that Bigfoot are out there. So that's why I say if. So if they are out there, then I think that they can communicate with each other. I think it has been documented that they howl and they whistle, which is two different forms of vocalization. They also clap or knock on trees, which is like a tree knock, which some people, we've never seen a Bigfoot do that, but people say that they do that. But I don't think they're intelligent enough to like start a fire,
right,
and cook. So there you have kind of the weights of where I feel that their intelligence lies. As for what they are, that's the $1 million question. Are they more of a primate, or are they more of a human? I think they're an ancient human. I think that they kind of meandered off the path of our evolution at some point, and instead of dying off like the other sapiens did, they kind of lived parallel to us and crossed over the land bridge, the Bering land bridge, kind of like all the other animals did that came here, and like we did. So I don't think it's that far-fetched to think that could have happened.
So are you familiar with the theory that's been popularized the past couple of years that Bigfoot could be a being not of this earth, or from a different dimension, or
right?
As this discussion churns up, if there's any conspiracy theory that I buy into for a certain amount, and I'm going to make myself sound crazy for a moment, it's the CERN Large Hadron Collider, like multi-dimension theory. Like, don't go down that rabbit hole, you're just going to scare yourself. But but if kind of in that same mindset, that's been a theory that's been really popularized past couple of years.
Yeah. I don't believe that Bigfoot are intradimensional nor related to aliens or anything like that. However, that's not to say that it's not something that other people believe, and that, like you said, has become extremely popular. And that's not to say we can't acknowledge that, as people are reporting these correlations between UFOs and Bigfoot, or Bigfoot disappearing or reappearing and stuff like that in front of somebody's eyes. You can't just say that, no, you didn't see that, because that's just not right. People, you can't tell somebody what they saw or what they didn't see. My standpoint of it is the reason why I believe that Bigfoot are of the biological nature of the kind of like a big chipmunk or a squirrel or a turkey or something like that, is because of the evidence that I've found. I've found footprint of Bigfoot, and that's not to say that Bigfoot wouldn't leave footprints if they're not of this dimension, but I don't know. It's just, I would say to anybody, if you're into that theory, go ahead and show me some evidence of why you believe that, and like change my opinion, because I'm totally open-minded to whatever. But I've had that open-ended out there for a while, and nobody's ever produced any evidence. So
makes sense. It makes perfect sense, and that's a great answer. So you have a library tour coming up. Sounds like it's predominantly through the East Coast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's been a headache. It's been, let me tell you, these librarians, I deal with a lot of librarians, right? And they are so nice. It's such a pleasure dealing with not like people that like their jobs and stuff. Like it's just very nice. But dealing with a lot of them at the same time is very crazy. But anyways, I have about 66 as of today libraries coming up within this year. I'm going from south to north, going from Florida. We start in Florida in like a week and a half. We're down there. Then we go to Georgia, North Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, and then way up to Maine. We're going to be in Maine for my birthday, which is great. Going to be doing a couple hikes up there, which are on my bucket list I've always wanted to do. But yeah, it's really cool because these libraries, generally speaking, are small. Like they're not like your city libraries that have all this beautiful architecture and stuff like that. They're maybe a step up from a barn, maybe they have running water type of thing. And I say that, and I'm not meaning to make fun of any of these libraries. I'm saying that these libraries don't have a lot of budget, right? So when I come in and say, hey, I have this Bigfoot presentation, and I don't do these libraries voluntarily, they pay me money, and it's so important for them to have a presentation like this come out to their community, because they've never had anything like this before come to them, and they've had all these Bigfoot stories for years in these rural backwoods community library, and people come out and they say, hey, I've never told anybody this before, but I saw a Bigfoot 20 years ago, or I saw a Bigfoot yesterday. And it's the coolest thing because you get these genuine stories that are people are not getting, any recognition for, they're not getting paid for, they're not getting anything. But anyways, we take those stories, and what we do is kind of like you've seen on TV, or anybody that's watches a Bigfoot show on TV, is we kind of put them on a map, and then we go camping in that location wherever their sightings are. So, and we camp and we film our show, and then during the evening and night, and then during the day we go and do a library. So it's great. It's going to be tiring. It's going to be a lot, but I'm super stoked to get on the road and just get this going, because I just want to bring this Bigfoot message and people, to get outside and into nature more. That's the whole thing of why I do this whole thing. Like I said before, I just want to bring that to more people. I can't wait.
So have you done a presentation like this before?
Yeah. I've done a few pre-COVID, and then when COVID happened, didn't do anything. And then last year I did 22 libraries in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, that was really cool. And some of them were kind of opposite of like we were just talking about. Some of them were pretty urban and by New York City. And it was incredible, the diversity of people that came out to my shows and showed interest. It was really absolutely phenomenal.
So without giving your presentation away, what type of things do you cover in your presentation?
Yeah, so I've done a couple different presentations in the past, and what I've kind of landed on is a very broad one. I've gotten into detailed things such as track casting and evidence stuff, and I've gotten into presentations such as what to bring Bigfooting and stuff. But basically what my presentation involves is you're going to hear stories of what we have encountered, evidence we've collected. You're going to see pictures and stuff. You're also going to learn how to get into Bigfooting if you want to get into Bigfooting. You're going to see you're going to be able to see some of the casts that we bring, Bigfoot actual casts that we pulled from the ground. Kids always love that. And you get to have a question and answer session at the very end. So any burning questions about Bigfoot that you have that to look forward to as well. It's great. I've had all great reviews from it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
We live in a world based on skepticism. Unfortunately, it's people see things. We live in a world that should be all gray area, but people see things, unfortunately, in black and white. How do you face critics or skeptics of your pursuit of Bigfoot?
Yeah, it used to bother me a little bit, to the point where I used to say something like, well, maybe Bigfoot is real because of this and this and this and stuff. And they're like, no. And, this is just in general. But I don't care anymore. if that's just the nitty gritty answer to it. If people have anything negative to say about me or what I do, or Bigfoot in general, or they say, "Oh, this can't exist," I have some family members that like to say some stuff at holiday times, and that makes for great conversation. But it is what it is. And I said before, like, I don't have a very traditional job. It's and looking for Bigfoot in general is just not a common thing. But I guess some people don't like that they could be a little skeptical about what I do and how I do things. So they could be upset by that, or I don't know, or the. What I like to tell people, and actually this is how I close my presentation, is life with the possibility of the existence of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster is far superior to one without.
Absolutely. Do you find that people's belief system has evolved and people are a little bit more willing to accept it now than even, say, 5 years ago?
Yeah, well, I think so. I think with and I can't go bashing these shows kind of like I did before. And I feel bad that I kind of bashed these shows because that's how I got into Bigfooting. I was watching Finding Bigfoot on TV, and that's my first excursion was out with the BFRO. So I can't knock them or anything. But it definitely, as more people are coming forward and people don't care anymore. That's what I like. People still go to like out to like the convenience stores in their pajamas. And I love that. You know what I mean? And it's just people don't care. So when somebody has a Bigfoot sighting and they say it, "Oh, I've seen Bigfoot," it's okay, cool. It's just it's become, people have become more accepting of everybody's beliefs and everybody's encounters and stuff lately and stuff. And again, like the popularity with the TV shows and everything like that. Bigfoot conferences are through the roof. I think I'm going to 12 of them in 6 months in this year alone, and that's just on the East Coast. And they're Bigfoot conferences, and there's thousands of people that come out to these things, which is phenomenal.
You said a phrase earlier where you said you were talking about how you did a few shows until COVID, and I feel like that is like a punctuation mark now in every conversation we have. It was like, until COVID. And the thing is, and again, I don't go political or anything along those lines on my show, but this comes up frequently on my show as kind of the life before COVID versus life after COVID. I'm a podcaster as a result of this pandemic. Mm-hmm. And because people were so diametrically opposed on one side of the issue to the other, you would think that people's open-mindedness had closed down a little bit more. But just from a personal observation, I think people are a lot more willing to explore and a lot more open to possibilities now than one would safely assume.
No. And you have to look at what just happened in the last year or two, where the government announced the UAP phenomenon is a real thing. So people, that's a very linear, parallel world to Bigfoot. And when it comes to the governments acknowledging them. And I don't get into conspiracy theories or government things when I go and talk on podcasts either, because that's just a rabbit hole that we don't get down.
Right.
But what I will say is with that, the government announcing that UAP thing, they could just be getting ready for it. That could be like a soft opening for, hey, there's a Bigfoot here too. Just saying, in your backyard, you could be a Bigfoot. I wouldn't see that be out of the realm. I mean, I think if they are out there, the government does know about them. I think with the technology that the military has and stuff, that there's no way that they wouldn't know about them, especially with all the sightings near these government bases, which is another kind of weird thing.
Right.
And again, that's teetering on the government conspiracy thing. But
fueling that could also fuel why people are trying so hard to tie the UFO UAP phenomenon with Bigfoot, because they both occur in places like, I mean, I've heard both sides of it. I've heard of Bigfoot sightings outside Colorado Springs, like in the Manitou Springs, Pikes Peak area. But I've also heard a heightened UFO activity in those same exact areas. What's also near Colorado Springs? Well, I mean, there's a lot of military complexes out there as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Why? So, I mean, you make a lot of good points in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, McGuire Air Force Base is right outside the Pine Barrens. So you have a joint McGuire Air Force Base, and then you have the 3 million or 2 million acre Pine Barren Reserve with all the sightings of the Jersey Devil, like I said before, and the Bigfoot that are down there. It's just very interesting, and it's a correlation that is definitely something to be looked at, but not here nor now.
Could be just hyper coincidence.
Could be. Very well could be.
So tell me, what does Mike do outside of Bigfoot exploration?
I am a volunteer with New Jersey Search and Rescue. So I do that. That's cool. I like to fish, like to hike and stuff. I don't see, the thing is when I go hiking and when I go fishing and when I do the stuff that I generally like to do, it's always Bigfoot related. It's, I don't go for a hike and don't bring my camera now. I like, my dad's always like, oh, why don't you go for a bike ride? I'm like, you're going to miss evidence that way.
Right.
I don't go to like hiking in town parks and stuff or walking in like city areas because there's no Bigfoot there. So right. I don't know. It's, on top of that, it's just become such an addiction. This whole Bigfoot world thing is, I mean, you see behind me, those are all the tour things that I have. That's what I do, during the day is I work full time doing this library thing, to have been, and then going out and film the show on the weekends. It's just, it's been a ride. It's been fun. Yeah. It's a lot of work. It is, but it's totally worth it. Somebody, I think we kind of touched on it before, where somebody sent me an email and very early on in the show, I think it was season 2 or so. And somebody sent me an email and he was like, listen, because of a new kind of disease, I can't get out and explore nature the way I used to. And I used to look for Bigfoot the same way you do. And I want to say thank you because I live vicariously through your videos. And I think that was the coolest thing. And that's how I knew that I was going to keep doing this for quite some time.
Yes. It almost becomes it's great when your hobbies grow from hobbies to borderline obsessions. And that's exactly why I asked you that question, because I wanted to see how much of your life this was consuming at this point. And I get it. I totally get it. Being a former music guy, now doing the podcast thing, I find that I eat, sleep, and drink this endeavor as I'm chasing it. And I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, normal day would be 98% Bigfoot related stuff. The 2% is probably trying to play the guitar a little bit, and I can't do that too well, so I give up really quick and I go back to the Bigfoot stuff. So, you know how it is.
Fantastic. So, Mike, what is your advice, given everything you know, and we're going to kind of go off the rails here real quick, but what is your advice for making the world a better place right now, the way we live in it? You interact with a lot of human beings. What's your advice?
Yeah, well, my big thing is helping people. Being an EMT, I've done that for like 16 years or something like that, and I still hold my certifications and stuff. But it's doing. Every time I go out on an expedition, I try to do something good for somebody else once a day. So whether that be stopping and helping somebody fix a flat tire, or we were hiking or we were filming in the Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, and we came across a kid who was walking, and he was totally having a psychiatric emergency, like seriously, and he was like going to hike the Appalachian Trail in his sandals, and I was like, oh man, you can't do that, buddy. So we ended up, we sat with the guy for like 2 hours, and finally he told us what his dad's name was, and we got his number and stuff. But it's if everybody could just do one thing nice for somebody once a day, that would make the whole world such a better place.
I absolutely love that. Everybody, check out Mike's show on YouTube, In the Shadow of Big Red Eye. They've also got a Facebook page. He's got an Instagram account. Give him a follow. Check out his stuff. Or
shadowofredeye.com.
There we go. Shadowofredeye.com. I absolutely love it. Mike, thanks for doing the show today. The world is a better place with you in it, my friend.
Oh, Mike, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Once again, I'd like to thank Mike for joining the show today. Find him online, shadowofredeye.com. Search out In the Shadow of Big Red Eye on YouTube and follow him on Instagram under the handle Shadow of Red Eye. In the meantime, make sure you're giving me a follow on all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching out Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark, or you can visit me at www.caughtonthemic.com. It's a new year, new me, new you. Reach out anytime you like. I would really appreciate that 5-star review on all the podcasting platforms today. This has been Caught on the Mic with Michael Clark. I'm Michael Clark. Until next time, thank you.